Welcome to Fraud Friday, the show that you're always looking forward to at Coleman Report. And today we have a story of bank senior executives gone wrong. Delaney, tell us what's going on.
Well, first, I'm just going to say I'm excited to be here for a Sexton special of Fraud Friday. And here we have Anthony Gressick and then James Chung. So, Gressick was a former director and interim CEO of Nano Financial Holdings and Nano Bank, while Chung was a former board member and former director. And so they both were recently prohibited from ever participating in the banking industry again, and then Gressick was fined $75,000.
Yeah, that's an interesting find. It's not as significant as I thought it might be as Delaney continues to share the story. What did they do?
So, as per usual, these are technically allegations. They did not deny or agree to them, but so what they were claiming was they obtained 15.5 million in PPP idle and restaurant revitalization fund money from SBA. So what had happened was they were a partial owner of a group of corporate entities that received this money, and of course, they may not have done it quite right. They said that they made false representations on the loan applications, and then some of the funds were used for personal expenses, though they did not disclose what exactly was done with the funds.
Well, and I think the thing that comes out here, a bank officer or a bank director who owns a existing small business would not have been prohibited from getting a PPP loan or an idle loan or a restaurant revitalization grant. They could apply. It's just like Delaney. I have a Schedule C on some of the other activities that I do, which technically is a small business. And I could have applied for a PPP loan, but I chose not to because of the optics of me being intimately involved with SBA and PPP. So, I mean, just being a bank officer, if you owned if you owned a small business and you went to another institution and you applied for a PPP loan, as long as you made true representations, which that's the key here. Obviously, some of the information on their PPP and idle and restaurant revitalization applications must not have been true and accurate. And then utilization of the funds. It would seem that a banker, if they did get a PPP loan for a small business they owned, they knew that that money needed to be used on payroll, utilities, things related to the business, not for personal expenses. So, again, just the fact that they're bankers doesn't mean they couldn't have gotten a PPP loan legally, but it appears they made some false statements and used the money for personal gain.
Well, that is not quite the end of the allegations against Gressick. So at Nano, they had a enforcement action with the Fed due to a high proportion of commercial real estate loans. This order essentially said that if there was any new board member or senior executive office appointed, they had to let the regulators know within 30 days, but that was not what happened with Gressick. He was named interim CEO. They did not notify the Fed. And then there were some other things that weren't quite right. So the founders planned to receive commissions on investments despite having an agreement with investors stating they would not do this. So Gressick received 194,000 in commissions, and then not only that, 100,000, or he received a $100,000 cash advance 2 months before any of the capital was even funded. This was, of course, concealed from the feds and the board of Nano. And then additionally, they claim that Gressick helped approve a $148,000 payroll advance to another one of the executive officers at Nano. And of course, again, these are just allegations, but
So they're claiming that in their capital raise for the bank, that the individuals were getting commissions when they would bring people in to help capitalize the bank, and some of these things, approving loans for executive officers and things like that are all suspect. But I don't get the getting commissions. And the other thing, Delaney, that's really curious about these is these guys are bankers. They are probably well compensated at being bankers, executive officers at a bank, and now they're prohibited from participating in a financial institution. So, like many of these fraud cases, they have destroyed their career over, it looks like 100,000 plus 194,000 plus a little PPP money they used on personal expenses. Not really sure that that's worth it. But these
No.
are all alleged, right, Delaney?
Again, technically, when they entered this agreement, they're fully compliant with, being prohibited going forward. But when they agreed, they did not necessarily say the allegations were true. They also did not deny them, but I'm just going to continue to call them allegations.
Yeah, so this is kind of an interesting situation because as a lender, we have the ability to do things, but we have to do what is right and what the regulators expect and what the rules expect. And that's the thing with PPP and idle loans, Delaney. Those folks who went out and got PPP loans and used them properly, it was a great benefit to the business, and those loans were forgiven. The ones who made false representations and spent the money to buy, we've had a lot of flashy boats and cars and things like that. They are being prosecuted vigorously by various federal agencies. So this is certainly a case where the power of the position led them to make some poor decisions, it appears.
And you bring up an interesting point, and I don't know enough to say one way or the other, but he received a fine of 75,000, but I wonder if they'll have to pay back any of these loans or whatnot since they're saying that it was not used correctly.
Yeah, I suspect, Delaney, that when it goes to trial and when a decision is made, I would suspect that there would be restitution in these cases.
Well, see, I'm not sure if this is actually going to trial. I think this may be where it ends.
It's not going to trial, that they're going to settle, I would assume.
I am not 100% sure.
Well, this is certainly an interesting story, and I know there'll be updates in the future. So as this progresses, Delaney will gather more information and we'll bring more information to light as to what happened on this. Anything else about this story, Delaney?
Nope, I think we covered it.
Okay, guys, thank you for joining us for Fraud Friday. Make sure and look at ColemanReport.com. We have a lot of great webinars coming up in the next few weeks, and certainly take an opportunity to get signed up and get your staff trained. But again, thank you for being with us on Fraud Friday. Thank you, Delaney. Thank you, Anna. And everybody have a great weekend.
Have a good weekend.
All you good SBA citizens. Thank you. Have a good day.